This then is what the circuit looks like as we drive on board the Porsche 911 of Conrad and von Gartzen through the start-finish straight, braking heavily down through the gears for this tight turn one as they go right-hand. Opens out slightly up through the gears before braking hard again into an almost blind left-hand turn and into the S-bend. No easing up as they head out straightwards and up the hill towards the back section. Fast, sweeping right-hand turn before into a left-hand that takes them further up the hill before turning right. Up through the grandstands and out along towards the back straight. Hard on the brakes, right-hand turn, over the curbs, left-hand turn. Another left-hand turn. And then another series of fast sweeping S-bends. Vicious gravel traps either side of the track. Then a sharp, almost 90-degree right-hand turn, down on the brakes, down through the gears, very hard, then back over the curbs, back on the gas momentarily. Slightly downhill after this right-hand turn. Straightens out into a sharp right-hander again, and then it's the climb back up the hill. Almost hairpin-like right-hander, the last turn then before it's out onto the start-finish straight and heading for the start of another lap. The preparations are over and it's just a formation lap to go now before the green light signals the start of the furious charge along the pit straight. On board with Jürgen von Gartzen, who's behind number 4 Ernst Palmberger, as they weave their way down the pit straights to get some heat into the tyres and start heating up the brakes. Some say it makes a difference, some say it doesn't. That's the way they'll carry on until the last of the turns before they hit the start-finish straights for the green light. So the grid then, how it lines up with Springer and 4 alongside Bailey Campbell-Walter on row 1. Pole position time 1:38. The early times are going to be a lot slower than that, of course. De Richburg and Voss, Gusselin and Belmondo, the 2 Vipers on row 2. Row 3, and it's Hazemans and Hart and Palmberger and Hain. Finally, row 4, and it's Coulter and Volek and Conrad and von Garten. So then, almost a complete lap of the circuit in formation. Get a good view of the tarmac. The pace car peels off. They'll be looking now for the lights, the race director, to decide whether they're in formation correctly, and if so, there'll be the green light round the final turn. Approaching the start line, the light goes green, the hammers go down, roar from the engines, and it looks to be the number 14 Lister that takes into the first turn. It's the Belmondo Viper that's next to him. Hazeman's there, and then it's the other Belmondo. 15, 12, 14, and 11. We make it. There's a collision on the first turn, and that is the number 11 car of Paul Belmondo, and also the number 14 Lister Storm has gone out. Action, disaster, first turn, lap 1. Is this a sign of things to come? But cleanly away out into the lead is number 15, a perfect start. On board just after the start with Julian Bailey in the Lister. There's Paul Belmondo in the Viper alongside. And leaves the brake until later on. And will we see what happens? But you can see him fighting the wheel. Gets nudged from sideways, I think, and goes off. And that is how you see the incident from Julian Bailey's side. Gets back underway again. Let's have a look this time. We're on board the number 5 Porsche of Jürgen von Gartzen at the wheel. And that's the orange Viper there, Mike Hazeman in front. There on the left-hand side is the Lister Storm. The Belmondo just twitches and seems to touch the Lister, but difficult angle to make out. And the onboard car goes through without problems, and it's a retirement. The damage obviously too much, too critical for number 11, Paul Belmondo, and out of the race. We look to see if we can pick up Julian Bailey, but this is the race leader, and Paul Belmondo just unplugging himself and gets out of the car. But that is the race leader then. Race order 15, 12, 25, 5, 4 and 1. And a good start then for the number 15 car from pole position to lead the race on the opening lap. And through to finish that opening lap goes number 15, race leader. To the 4 at the wheel. There's Mike Hazelman's in third place. And we're on board once again with Julian Bailey. And seems to be fairly slow, must say. We don't know as yet the extent of the damage to that car. We haven't seen any shots from the outside. It doesn't seem to be at race pace. Second placed Viper, number 12, and there is number 25 in third place. Into the pits, an early corner. That's Luca Riccatelli in the 77 Porsche. So problems obviously as we rejoin number 15, race leader Philippe 4. Second and third already starting to space out, and it's a retirement for number 77. So disappointment for them in the early parts of the race as they get pushed into the garage through the heat haze. Race leader Philip 4, later hanging over to, of course, his co-driver Springer. But for certainly the next few laps, it's all going to be down to Philippe to pull out, keep and extend the lead where possible. And a couple of seconds, I'd say now, the gap between him and Boris de Richburg in the number 12, Paul Belmondo Racing Viper. And then back to Mike Hazelman's. Already had one win this year. There's the Lister of Julian Bailey into the pits. You can see the damage to the front end. And the question is the damage too much? It looks like it, because Bailey is out of the car. And the Lister retires. So one Lister out in the lead, one Lister back in the garage already. And Boris de Richburg chasing hard. So too Mike Hazelman's on the opening stint for the 25 car. Through the S's as the 14 car is pushed back into the garage. Race leader, and we can hear now from Julian Bailey.
Yeah, it's very disappointing to come all this way, spend all the time and money we have and get taken out of the first corner, but that's motor racing.
Well, his words tend to imply that it wasn't his fault, but a racing incident nonetheless. I think it will be considered as. And the race order no change: 15, 12, 25, 5, 1 and 4. We look for those. And you can see the number 1 Chamberlain Viper pitting its might and power against one of the many Porsches, and won't be long before passes that. First and second in the race, first and second on the road. As we go to a replay then, we're on board with number 1 Stephen Watson in the Chamberlain Viper, behind the number 5 Porsche with Jürgen van Gartzen behind. And this is what we saw before. This was the chase out along the start-finish straight, out of the final turn, flat out along, get in the slipstream if he can, makes his move, looking for the outside line, goes wide and manages to carry the momentum around, doesn't make it through. Porsche pulls out and he looks through for the inside, not there, looks round for the outside, not going to happen there this time. Both get the power on down to this next sharp right hand, and then it's the climb to the hill. And back to almost where we left off. Boris Richburg in the number 12 Viper, the Chrysler Viper, that's in second place and hunting down race leader. There is race leader, and through the start-finish line, another one of the laps down. 3 hours or 126 laps, whichever is concluded first. And there's third place Mike Hazemans, and this is that battle still with the number 5 Porsche and the number 1 Chamberlain Viper. We're back on board with the Chamberlain. This load shot, you can see the speed as they head down through the tarmac, rushing away, and he's on the outside. This is exactly what he did last time, and it didn't work. Will it work this time? He's closer, pushing the Porsche on the inside, but no, doesn't happen, and looks to go around the outside this time. So going to the left-hand series of S's, and looks as if he's got it. He's got the position, slams the door, brakes, and then gets the power on, ready to climb once more. And position gains. There you see the confirmation. And number 1, Stephen Watson, successfully passing number 5. And then it's number 4, the Hanem Palmberger Porsche. Number 1 now in 4th place. And definitely still the race leader, and looks to have pulled out just a little bit of track now on second place man Boris de Richburg in the number 12 Chrysler Viper. There it is, rounding that final turn as he heads out, the clock down, another lap. The temperature here still very, very hot indeed. Drivers anticipating temperatures in the cockpit around about 70 degrees, believe it or not, and that is with the airflow moving through the car. And these two pretty close indeed now. That was the 5 and 4 car, and that is the leader of the NGT class, number 52, Christophe Bouchou in the Porsche. And I don't know whether it looks very much then as if he'd got some damage to the bodywork. We'll have to wait till we see another shot, maybe this time. And definite damage to the rear end of the Porsche. Yes, indeed, it's torn away. It doesn't look to be causing too much of a problem, but let's hope the suspension isn't damaged at all. The car certainly seems to be handling okay, not causing too many worries for him, as we pick up the battle between 5 and 4. 4 having a look onto the inside, and through goes number 4, past the Jürgen von Gartzen driving number 5. And number 4 makes up a place. Ernst Palmberger passes. And a little scrap has now passed. And can he fight back now? Both these in the GT class, and that's the leader of the NGT class, number 52. 4 behind the number 15 wheel. Philippe to give him his proper pronunciation, Boris de Richburg. I'm sure that's right, in the number 12 Viper in second place. Where is third? There is third, Mike Hazemans. And well, lost a headlight, I'm sure it'll be the last of his concerns. But in third place and falling behind slightly, just losing a little bit of time on the leading pair on each lap. NGT leader, well, despite that damaged rear end, does not seem to be causing any problems for him, and still circulating steadily here at the Hungaroring. And almost a lonely race for him at the minute. There's nobody chasing behind him. There you get a good look how lucky that car has been not to suffer worse damage. It may just be causing slight aerodynamic falter at the back, but certainly lucky not to suffer any major damage as he heads through the start line. Another car just behind him. Can't quite see who that is at the moment as they come closer towards us. We pick up on the yellow pencil of number 50, Magnus Vollander. Porsche 996 is chosen steed, another in the NGT. In fact, he's running second in the NGT class at the moment. Lap 14 and 27, Fabio Villa in the Porsche 911 in the pits with problems. cuts the engine, and well, it could be the end of the race if the mechanics deem the problem too severe to fix, but they're still having a good go. And stopped on the track, that's Andre Ahl, and broken suspension, we're told. The NGT leader streams through. The cars still making their way, of course, backing off with the yellow flags until the green one. And 53 certainly looks to be suspension wise as the marshals pull him out of the way, and of course make the track safe once more. We're back with race leader now in amongst the traffic, and already past number 22, the Weath Porsche 911. So far, so good then for the leading Lister Storm. It was the 14 car that won the last round at Silverstone. It's not going to be that one this time, but could it be the 15? And that looks to be the end of the race for the three-man crew of number 27. And no doubt disappointment for them. And round once more for race leader. And Philippe Four on the opening stints, of course, changing over to Springer at the first pit stop, which will be quite a way away yet. The team, of course, disappointed to lose the 14, but hopeful for the 15. And that's number 50, Magnus Wallander, that's about to be lapped by the race leader. And just goes to show how much more quicker the GT cars are. The NGT class will slightly slower, yes, but excellent racing in their class as well. And the blue flags warning the back markers to get out of the way. That was the 66 car, I think, that gets the blue flag treatment. Figueroa and Bapati. And we're back with the 52 car, the NGT leader. And I think that was number 5 Porsche we saw just before that, Jürgen van Gartsen just ahead of him. Skips through on the bumps. And race leader now up behind number 5, Jürgen van Gartsen, and about to be lapped. Of course, he doesn't want to slow down too much. He has his position to maintain, but he will try and make it easy in there. He does this time, moves wide and allows the race leader through, and he'll be merrily on his way. And you can just see the power of that Lister just eking away. Closes under braking this time, but the power's on and starts pulling out again. Jürgen on the curbs, using all the track that he can. It's very abrasive surface. You can see the rubber being laid down. Second place then, number 12, Boris de Richburg, and coming up behind the NGT leader, Christophe Bouchou, and very quickly going to catch him. He gets on the power out of that turn once again through the S's. Will close up on the braking. See just eking slowly towards the car as they head round to the start-finish line. Probably going to be able to nail him as he closes a lap. Close behind him now and looking for the way past. And Bouchou will have to yield very soon indeed. And de Richburg will be very keen not to lose too much time. It becomes an advantage, of course, for the race leader into the final turn. And this time he'll be ready for him. We should see Bouchou be sporting and move well out of the way, but the Viper should have no problems at all in nailing him down the start-finish line. And there he goes. And Bouchou defers obviously, as he has to, and no chance of outrunning the Viper. And passed and lapped, and the Richburg now will have to try and catch up on the time that he's lost, that has been given back to the race leader. Slowly starting to pull away here. Headlights on, and just the one headlights for third place man Mike Hazelman. And then a whole gaggle of cars fighting for position. And that is the number 55 car, Constantino Bertuzzi, the 996. And this is Kurt Thiel in the 911 Porsche, the number 6 car. Conrad ahead of 66, and Mike Hazelman's in the orange liveried Viper. We're so used to seeing that in red, and I can't proclaim to understand the reason why, although I have my theories, but I shall keep them to myself this time. And out on his own, nothing immediately in front, and well, there's the Conrad Porsche just behind him now. But a lonely race at the moment, and we shouldn't have too much difficulty keeping up his momentum, but he said still not catching the second place number 12 Viper of Forrester Richburg. And the pit stops have started. This is where it could get interesting, as second place heads into the pits Forrester Richburg. And there you see Vincent Voss ready to change drivers. Fuel going in first. And driver change. No tyres can be changed until the refueling has been finished. And Vincent Voss being helped into the seats as we are back with race leader, of course, Mike Hazelman's now second place. Of course, that will only be until his pit stop. And pit stop finished. Vincent Voss fires up the Viper and exits the pit lane. On the pit speed restriction, of course, we saw the winning Viper number 14 of Julian Bailey fall foul to that the last round, but back onto the track. And of course needs to make up time, but got to go steady, get the tyres up to operating temperature once again. And of course the others to make pit stops, but the first of the pit stops. And refueled, and 21 Gabriel Mattuzzi in a spin, but back on the way again. A bit of excitement there as the race leader into view. I think that might have been 21 that he was passing. Stand to be corrected. And the Lister expected to go a little while longer yet before pit stop. Let's have a look at the replay of 21 getting free form and just almost spins it. Stops it, but then spins it, but does get back underway again, and still underway, still in the lead of this race here in Hungary, round 5, and race leader, the number 15, Lister Storm. Springer still to take over, and it finally comes in for its pit. Starting to close up now on some more traffic. Just caught a glimpse. I should see who it is in a moment. It's Hazelman's. It's the third place Hazelman's who is touring. Problem for Mike Hazelman's. So what the problem is, we just do not know, but hopefully find out. And he looks to be just hoping to get to the pits. Through goes one of the Porsches. Didn't quite catch the number there, and Hazelman's slow, agonizing process, and cars just flying past now. Not good news at all. slowly heads towards the pit lane entrance. Long limp into the pits, but Mike Hazelmans has made it, and the mechanics to obviously check over the car, but the driver change happening now. It will be Hart who takes over. Wearing the open face helmet, he climbs in, and the report we've got is that it was a loose rear tyre, the problem. And that is the number 1 Viper, brought into the pits by Stephen Watson in 3rd place after overtaking Hazelmans. Illers takes over, and of course this is the battle now. Can Hazelmans get out to take back that 3rd place? Hazelmans out, and I think that's still the Chamberlain car is still in, and that is Hugh Chamberlain, the team principal, who shuts the door. And a bit concerned, but out goes the car. But Hazelmans has got the position back, indicates for politeness and good measure, I think. And I think out into about 4th or 5th place. We'll have to wait and see when the pit stops come round once more, or settle out once more. But the Chamberlain team with only 1 car out here in Hungary. Their other car still being rebuilt from damage. Lap 34 and number 21 Matsui in for scheduled pit stop. Fuel nozzles on one each side, quicker refueling. Of course, driver change this time will be to Sangulio as race leader passes number 55 Bertuzzi in the pits with 21 still. Strapping the driver in, fuel still going on, and the tyre mechanics ready to change wheels. And we will, of course, be heading very soon for the pit stop. And a bit of confusion there, and problems for 21. Well, we saw 21 in the pits before, and 21, and well, it's not engine because it's not happening all the time. Is it suspension problem? It seems to be on the turns there. The bodywork definitely scraping against the tyre, and well, the number 5 Porsche, they'll be concerned that it's oil, but it's not. It is tyre smoke, of course, and seems to be some sort of broken suspension at the rear, I would think, and that is not going to be easy to repair in a pit stop. And definite suspension as the front end lifts up. Replay of the Lister running wide onto the grass. Dear oh dear, just ran very, very wide, gets onto the grass. This cannot be the end. Turns it sharply onto the tarmac. Is he going to regain it? Yes, he does. And heads in for a pit stop now. Those tyres will be very dirty indeed, and a little bit more worn. But in the pit stop window, so heads in. Mechanics in, and it will be a driver change as Springer takes over. The 21 car has made it in, but it is a retirement, so disappointment for the crew there. Meanwhile, fresh boots, fresh rubber going on to the race leader, the Lister. Replay here, that is the 56 car having an excursion through the gravel track. Well, not so much gravel as small rocks, to be honest, and they are vicious as well, and bodywork damage there will be. Let's hope that it shan't stop him, but he's already pretty well taped up, to be honest, at the fronts as the Lister heads back onto the track. Now, has he regained his lead position? Mike Hazelmans with, in fact, it's Hart now that's driving and gets it sideways and corrects it viciously and just stops that sliding. And there it is, there's the confirmation that number 15 is still the race leader here in Hungary, but behind him the bright yellow car that is in 2nd place, Vincent Voss behind the wheel, and difficult times because Springer still has to go fairly tentatively until those tyres are up to temperature, and look at the speed which Voss now is catching the race leader. He's going to have a look on the inside this time. Very, very dicey through, but Vincent Voss has got the inside line and takes the race lead from the number 15, Lister Storm. Well, led for most of this race, but on lap 40, the Lister down to second place now, and just could not stay ahead long enough. Have a look at this again, just towards the end of the start-finish straights. They go into turn one. Vincent Voss very late on the braking, and Springer on the outside line, but the Chrysler Viper goes through nice and tightly. Oh, and that is Hart. Well, we saw him correcting a spin or preventing a spin, but this time he wasn't so clever and has to take a quick trip, pick up some debris on those nicely hot tyres. As we're with number 50 now, Smith in 11th place so far. And this is a replay of his teammate number 51, Robert Nern, who gets the Porsche into a spin, almost makes it 360. And at 79, Philip Peter, who passes to take 6th place. But this is first place. This is race leader, number 12, Vincent Voss, having got past the black Lister Storm there, the cow-like design, in second place after leading for the first 40 laps, as number 1, the Chamberlain Viper of Illet on board, heads in, and Hugh Chamberlain there. I'm not sure what the story is. Maybe that is a scheduled pit stop, or is it a problem? We'll wait and see. Back with race leader, and it seems to be just a fuel stop only, same driver. So they top up, and that is number 5 in for his scheduled stop. Tyres getting changed. The driver has been changed to Franz Conrad now, as we are with the race leader. That is the second place man. And Springer at the wheel, and that, of course, is the Chamberlain Viper back out after the pit stop and in danger of being lapped by the race leader, and we'll have to let him through. It will now be a lap down. Could just get that back when the lead car comes in for another pit stop. But nicely through there, the Sporting Chamberlain team. Great promoters of this sport. Here's a replay then, the Vipers battling it out, but position will always be taken, of course, by the leader, and that is number 12, the Paul Belmondo Racing Team. And here's a replay of Hart getting it grass track style, cutting the curb. That is number 4 in third place currently, Hayne in the Porsche. We haven't seen much of him today, keeping out of trouble, which is the best thing to be doing, of course, in motorsports or any sports. And in comes the lead car for second pit stop, and de Richburg, who started the race, back in the seat again. All clear given. Engine will fire up and takes back out to the pit lane, observing the speed limits, and then it will be drop the anchors once again, back out. De Richburg, of course, has to dial himself back and get used to the feel of the car, which will be different now. Get those tyres up to temperature, and that is the number 1 Viper. Off goes wide, was attempting to pass one of the NGT Porsches, and got past, but went very wide indeed. And heads into the gravel, and gravel too for Fransworth, and gets it sideways. Can he get back and recover that? Yes, he does. And a bit of battered bodywork And we have now 52, passing 51, 52, the NGT leader, and cleanly past 51. And stays ahead, shouldn't be a problem. And has led the NGT class all the way through the... Well, it seems to have lost a bit of bodywork, but that may have come off when the entered the pits for the pit stop. And these two now, this is number 3, Bob Wallach, and number 4, Hayne. And Wallach, very close indeed. But 3 losing out there. You can see the rubber, those little black things on the tarmac is actually rubber marble, and 1 off the... Excuse me, where's he going? On the grass again, heads back to the tarmac. And the number 1, Chamberlain, well, certainly making life interesting on board. And let's have a look at that again. This was the earlier one where it just got nudged out. No, well, this is the same incident then. And on the grass, heavily run off as we're back with the second place. Race order 12, 15, 4, 1, 5, 3, and 51. That's how it lines up at the minute, but a little out of sync with the pit stops. But no doubt that that is the car that is in second place. Still chasing hard. 5 and then 25. And Conrad's and Mike Hazelman's back in the car once more, the prize the Viper. And off goes number 22 for an excursion through the gravel and a bit of motocross or rallycross, I think, for them, but out on the last lap now for number 12, and not much further to go now for race leader. And a car with a puncture. That's the 22 car we've just seen, and just desperately trying to get home. And well, if he stays behind the leader, then he'll be flagged after this one anyway. And there is the Lister, heads up behind the 79 car, and not too much further to go now for the race leader, and it's going to be a brilliant victory for the team, and a team that works so hard too, like them all do, but a lot of effort from the Paul Belmondo concern and into the last couple of turns, and he will see the start-finish line, and he will see the checkered flag and will be delighted. It's like one of the other Porsches gone out, but through the start-finish line and takes the victory. Vincent Voss and Boris de Richburg score their first win, beating off the Lister crew of 4 and Springer by 23 seconds at the end. Chamberlain crew of Illey and Watson in the number 1 car took 3rd place from the first Porsche home of Hayne and Palmberger. No points today for Bailey and Campbell Walter, who are now equal after the points from the rain-soaked Portugal round have been evened out, and still those stay at the top ahead of Hart and Hazelman's on 21